Happy Aloha Thursday. Welcome to This Is Now. The state is finally launching its search for a developer to design, build, and maintain the new Aloha Stadium, as well as the surrounding entertainment district.
Officials are looking for a single development team for the project. Here's the Stadium Authority Chair, Brennan Morioka.
The new Aloha Stadium itself will be a minimum of 25,000 seats with premium suites, lounges, and loge boxes. It is meant to accommodate a variety of sporting events, including not just football, but also world-class soccer and rugby, as well as concerts and other kinds of entertainment venues. We will be utilizing the current $400 million appropriation, and long-term funding and cost overruns will be borne by the private sector, thus reducing risks for the state. As the district is built out, we do acknowledge that there are some financial challenges that a developer or partner will have to buy into and overcome. That's why we are very much looking at having a partner who and a developer that is in it for the long term and for the development of the community. So that's the kind of partner that we're looking for.
Morioka says the deadline for qualifications will be February next year, and they hope to have a contract executed by the summer of 2025. He says that timeline still has them on schedule to have the Rainbow Warrior football team kick off their season in the new stadium in 2028. Now, we're going to have much more on this story, plus reaction from Manoa ahead on First at 4.
Now we want to turn to some national news headlines. Our Emily Cristobal recently spoke with our White House correspondent, John Decker. Here's the latest out of Washington, D.C.
Now for more on what's going on at our nation's capital, we're joined by H&N's White House correspondent, John Decker. First, I was hoping you could break down the latest on the House's vote to authorize an impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden.
Well, Emily, this was a straight party line vote. Every Republican voting to authorize this House impeachment inquiry, every Democrat voting against it. We've already seen a reaction coming from the White House. Nothing by President Biden on camera. He had, however, put out a statement. In that statement, he said two things that stick out. One, he called this a waste of time in the sense that he has done nothing wrong. In addition to that, he said this is a baseless political stunt. So that is what we're hearing in terms of messaging coming out from the White House in that statement. Much of that message repeated earlier today by the White House press secretary. In addition to that, the Biden campaign is fundraising off of what happened yesterday in the House of Representatives, and they say they're raising a lot of money as a result of this. So this has energized part of the Democratic base, that action taken by Republicans yesterday in the House of Representatives.
Yes, and I wanted to touch on some of the ongoing conflict abroad. John, has there been any progress in talks aimed at providing additional military funding for Ukraine and Israel?
Yes, there has. In fact, we learned that earlier today. The Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer indicated that progress has been made. And he said that progress has been made such that he is having the Senate come back next week. They will be back in session on Monday. He sees this as a major priority for Congress to get this funding for Ukraine and for Israel out of the Senate and over to the House before the end of the year. On the same page as the Senate Majority Leader is the Senate Minority Leader. This is one of those rare issues where you have the leader for Republicans and the leader for Democrats advocating for the same thing. So we'll see what happens. We know that progress has been made as it relates to what Republicans want. They want changes to border policy. And we hear from both sides, including the White House, that progress is being made in terms of making those changes to border policy as it relates to our southern border.
Yeah, and finally, Congress is set to adjourn for the holidays. What will be their top priorities when they return in January?
Well, I think two priorities will exist when Congress comes back in early January. One, if it isn't finished by the end of this year, passing and getting to the president's desk that security funding bill for both Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. That's a big priority. The other one is mark this as a date on your calendar. It's January the 19th. That's when half of the government potentially will run out of money. So there'll be a big push to make certain that there is no partial government shutdown that happens on January the 19th. So two big priorities, two big pieces of legislation that will need to get passed when Congress comes back from the holidays.
Yes, thank you so much for all that reporting, John. I really appreciate it.
A New York appeals court has rejected Donald Trump's challenge to the gag order in his civil fraud trial. The order bars Trump and his attorneys from speaking publicly about the court's staff. In their ruling, the court said Trump did not use the proper legal vehicle to challenge the gag order and sanctions. Meanwhile, testimony in the civil fraud trial ended Wednesday after 11 weeks in court. The parties have until January 5th to file supplemental briefs in the case. They will then return to court for oral arguments on January 11th before a final verdict.
Back here at home, in news overnight, Honolulu police responded to the scene of a shooting at Kamehameha Highway and Kipapa Street just after midnight. Police say multiple shots were fired toward the victim's vehicle. The 37-year-old man sustained a gunshot wound. He needed to have a breathing tube put into place before he was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Police are searching for the gunman. Details on the suspect are unclear at this time. And a sobering reminder to drive safe, not only during the holiday season, but year-round. The Hawaii Department of Transportation provided their year-to-date traffic fatality statistics for 2023. They say that as of December 13th, there were 92 fatalities on Hawaii roads caused by motor vehicle collisions statewide. Now, the good news is that is a decrease from the 112 lives lost at the same time the year before, but there is still room for improvement. State officials are continuing to remind people to drive safely. This holiday season, HPD will be setting up DUI checkpoints in and around Honolulu. Now, the data provided by the HDOT says a recent survey found that there was a decrease in speeding among drivers, a decrease in DUIs, and an increase in people opting to get into a vehicle with a sober driver. Meantime, Senator Brian Schott says more than $18 million in federal funds will help create safer roads and sidewalks on Oahu, Maui, and Hawaii Island. This includes upgrades to crosswalks, roundabouts, and bike lanes. That money comes from the Department of Transportation's Safe Streets and Roads for All program, which Shots helped to create.
Prosecutors have declined a DUI case in Mililani, citing insufficient evidence. Now, the driver, who says he doesn't drink or do drugs, believes that police were trying to pad their arrest counts. Our chief investigative reporter, Lynn Kawano, has body cam video of that man ending up in handcuffs.
DUI checkpoints are often federally funded. It's free money for police department and allows officers to get at least 4 hours of overtime. November 7th, Amen Fepuliai was pulled over shortly after a roadblock was set up on Kamehameha Highway at Ka'uka Boulevard. Driving his brother's car, Fepuliai was visiting from American Samoa.
I'm officer for...
The officer said that he smelled alcohol. Watch Fepuliai's reaction.
I do detect the odor of alcohol. Drink it off.
Fepuliai agreed to participate in the field sobriety test at the scene, including a breath test.
Go as hard as you can. Keep going until you hear a click. Okay, ready? Go. Keep going.
The report shows Fepuliai blew a 0.00. There was no alcohol in his system. Remember, the officer said he smelled alcohol, but Fepuliai showed us part of the police report where no was marked for odor of intoxicant. The officers told Fepuliai they then suspected drug use and arrested him.
Put your hands behind your back. Being placed on the arrest for operating a vehicle under the influence of intoxicant.
After Fepuliai was cuffed and put in the patrol car, the transporting officer appears to turn off the body camera, even though policy requires it stay on during the ride. Fepuliai said that's important because on the way to the Pearl City substation, the officer told him to refuse further tests in an effort to save time.
In order for me to kind of leave early, I had to make bail and just refuse both the breathalyzer tests at the station as well as the drug test. He shouldn't have given me that advice, and I hope that they're not giving other innocent people the same advice.
I have heard from a number of my clients that the officer is telling them on the way to the station it's quicker if you just refuse everything. And it's wrong. Number one, if the person is intoxicated, they're getting evidence for the prosecutor. if they aren't intoxicated, they can prove that they're not.
The Administrative Driver's License Revocation Office rescinded the case shortly after the arrest, but Fepuliai still lost his license and had to post $500 bail.
I felt embarrassed. I felt profiled. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. So there is a problem.
When you do the roadblocks, you're expected to get a DUI arrest because they're paying the overtime. You're there at least 4 hours. So even though HPD says no stats, there is pressure for stats.
Attorney John Burge said questionable arrests defeat the purpose of the checkpoints, to catch and prosecute drunk drivers. The prosecutor's office said they declined the case against Fepuliai, citing insufficient evidence. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
We reached out to HPD for comment, and whether officers are pressured to make arrests at checkpoints, we did not get a response.
The U.S. Senate has approved a new defense spending bill that includes $1.6 billion for infrastructure projects in Hawaii. In the wake of the Red Hill fuel leak crisis, there's money to study the health effects of the tainted water in 2021. And millions of dollars are set aside to improve the water systems at Fort Shafter, Schofield Barracks, the Kaneohe Marine Base, and Aliumanu and Helemano military reservations. Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam would also get funding for a new dry dock and improvements to its wastewater system, which has had several spills recently. The bill now goes to the U.S. House for consideration.
Some welcome news for potential home buyers. For the first time since mid-August, mortgage rates fell to under 7% this week. According to data released by Freddie Mac, the rate dropped to an average of 6.95%. That's down from 7.3% the previous week. This marks the 7th straight week that rates have gone down. The Federal Reserve has been pausing its rate increases because inflation has been improving. And since mortgage rates are expected to keep falling, the Fed has been signaling rate cuts may be coming next year.
Well, if you are planning on shipping your holiday presents to family and friends abroad, you got to do that soon. Our KC Lund has more on the shipping deadlines that you need to remember.
Aloha from the state's busiest post office. Yes, we're here at the main post office next to the Honolulu airport. And you'll see these folks just completed pretty much all of their sorting. Earlier, though, take a look at how busy things were when we were showing people around on Sunrise. During that broadcast, the men and women that put in the work during the holidays were very efficient. They got through so many packages that we got to see, sorting those. This is all the incoming mail that you're seeing from the mainland U.S. getting sorted out. And in just a matter of a couple days, 1 to 2 days, it's going to end up on the doorsteps where it's supposed to go. And to make sure that your packages end up on the doorsteps where they're supposed to go, you need to get those shipped right now. But you do have a little time. I'm going to tell you about the deadlines in just a moment. Darlette Wong is with me this morning, a spokesperson, a holiday spokesperson for the Postal Service. As we've seen this morning, there were packages nonstop on this conveyor belt, but the folks here at the main office are extremely efficient. We know from Rodney Talvella, they got their work done quickly, but I just want to talk a little bit about that. The amount of work you folks do every year, all year round, but really things ramp up during the holidays, as you might think.
Yes, we are actually busy all year round, and of course, very prepared for the holiday season because we know we have an influx of packages that come through. So our employees are ready every single holiday season, and we want to bring joy to our customers for them to have a Merry Christmas.
There's an amount of pride in the U.S. Postal Service. You've been with the Post Office for well over a decade. I think you said 16, 17 years?
17 years, yes.
Why do folks choose this as a career, and why do you keep coming back? I mean, there is a sense of pride in getting this work done for the American people.
Yes, there is a sense of pride. Our employees love our brand. Our employees love to serve our customers. We provide that first-class customer service to each and every person. Our carriers out there work hard as well. You know, they're delivering to every single house out there. So everybody that is a part of this organization just enjoys being a part of our ohana.
Very quickly, a couple things I just want to walk through services for folks, okay? The front of this building and many other post offices have some self-serve options. Can you run through those as quick as you can?
Yes, so we have self-service kiosks outside of certain post office with 16 throughout our state, and that is a 24/7 operation where you can bring your packages to that machine, pay for the postage, print it out, paste it on your package, and send it out where you don't have to stand in line.
And then really quickly, too, I want to run through dates before we send things back. The 16th is the closest one coming up, right? That's for ground.
Yes, the 16th is actually for priority, and it is this Saturday. We need to make sure we get that out as soon as possible. So come today, get your packages out. And for those of you that are still shopping, we have until December 20th, and that would be using the express mail service.
Very good. One last thing before we go, I want to show folks this, a really valuable tool and option for people. Tell me about the flat rate box.
So our flat rate boxes, this is our best shipping deal in town. Whatever fits in this box, up to 70 pounds, you can ship it. This package right here, the large flat rate box, will run you at $22.80, a flat rate.
Yeah.
So it's the best deal in town. If you can fit everything in here, go for it.
It's a lot of spam.
Yes, it is, spam. Or even
Wong.
rice.
That's right, yeah. Darlette Wong with us. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about what folks should know. Again, if you're waiting for the last minute, it is just about here, folks. Get those packages in the mail. If you missed any of that, you need some other holiday shipping tips, we've got information at HawaiiNewsNow.com. For now, we'll send things back into the studio.
Well, Ashley, have you finished your Christmas shopping yet?
Dylan, no, of course not. I barely started.
You and me both, sis. Well, let's go ahead and give you a live look outside. This is a different camera, a little bit out of focus, small kind kalamai, but you are looking at Hilo, Hawaii, a patch of blue right there in the center. Stay tuned after this short break. Billy V will have your island forecast.
Go ahead and take a look at your 7-day forecast and what we've got for you. Well, of course, today we've got those northeasterly winds 15 to 30 miles per hour. And so that's going to be pretty much statewide with the exception of Lanai and portions of Hawaii Island. You're going to have 25 to 45 miles per hour with gusts up to 60 miles per hour. So just kind of keep that in mind. That's why that high wind warning is in effect for Lanai, the Kohala side, northern part of Hawaii Island, and the southeastern portion down Volcano side. East northeasterly winds 15 to 30. We get into regular trade wind weather as we get into the weekend, but we have a bump up in the winds as we have a possible another cold front and more rain that might be coming to us as we get into early next week. But for the most part, today through the weekend, the weather's getting better.
In today's story from the feeds, we look to Idaho, where hunters made a miraculous discovery in the search for a 72-year-old woman. She had crashed her car, and 4 days went by before anyone heard from her. Andrew Bartlin has the details.
Hidden in the crevices of a Canyon County ridge, a missing woman's life was left up to Eddie.
Now we're doing this.
And Chase.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Work partners and hunters.
We don't come out here in the winter. There's no reason for us suicides to look.
And they couldn't believe what
There's a car down here.
or who
Right down in the little crevice.
they'd found.
In the corner in the tumbleweeds. And we climbed down, did a little investigation in the car, and that's when we found Penny's information. I put Penny's name, Penny K. Clark, in on Facebook. And that's when it popped up. We found Penny K. Clark's car, a missing woman.
A 72-year-old woman having no recent contact with her family.
It was days. There's no question about it, it was days.
Canyon County Sheriff Kieran Donahue had already been looking for Penny.
No one would have looked here, really. There'd be no reason to look here.
No reason to be there at all.
So we were, out under those clouds, and we decided to just make a random turn and get out, come back out this way. And this is where we ended up, and it all makes sense.
Eddie and Chase called 911, explaining the car, the crash, the scene.
And then one of the officers looks past the car with the binoculars and sees part of her and sees her moving her extremities.
You know, me and Chase were in the truck filling out reports, and one of the cops yelled, "Penny!"
Good Lord, not only have we found her, she's still alive.
With help from Idaho Mountain Search and Rescue, they trekked Penny off the ridge and flew her to a nearby hospital.
No broken bones. You know, she was just cold, hungry, and tired. And I can't say enough what a miracle that is, you know?
In my experience, this is a less than 1% chance of surviving this. God had a different plan.
Multiple agencies coordinated the rescue, but the highest-ranking law enforcement officer in the county knows where to direct praise.
They're the true heroes here. They really are. They're the ones that saved this woman's life.
But Eddie and Chase? They don't need the credit.
I don't know. Kind of lost for words.
They already got the payment of a lifetime.
And Penny's daughter arrived on scene when Penny got down to the ambulance. She said, "I never thought listening to my mom snore in a hospital bed would be the best Christmas present, you know, to receive, and I hope your Christmas is just as special as this." It really hit home.
Well, in New York City, it's not always possible to put up an elaborate holiday display in your front yard. But one man found a unique way to show off his annual homemade decor in a parking garage. Gus Rosendale shows us.
Javier Sanchez is a man who wants everyone to embrace the spirit of the holiday season.
There's so much joy on their faces, and it really pays off all this hard work into the village. It is a lot of joy. I take people back to their childhood.
Easy to walk by his Upper East Side workshop, an underground parking garage beneath the Continental high-rise apartment building on 79th and 2nd.
I had to take a double take. It was fabulous. I love it. It's absolutely gorgeous.
For 13 years, between parking cars, he sets up and designs an annual lavish holiday display.
It's amazing. Mama. Yeah, you tell Mommy you come to see the lights? Yeah. It's so awesome.
Hundreds of volunteer hours, including his days off.
More trains, a new waterfall.
He splits between $2,000 and $3,000 in cost every year between himself, colleagues, and donors.
There's so much joy on their faces, and it really pays off all this hard work into the village.
A river flows through it, a ski lift flies over it, and it is all handmade, direct from the heart.
Javier, quick to say, this is a display for everybody. In fact, the first thing you see when you come down the ramp is this Hanukkah display, and he designed these ornaments to form the letter U. U standing for unity.
I think it is a very special way to celebrate and be all in one piece of unity.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
dedication right there.
Very cool. Well, some interesting news, health news, to help prevent dementia. Japanese researchers say try a sushi condiment, wasabi. So its active ingredient, 6-MSITC, has known antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. Now it's also been linked to improved short and long-term memory. Now, researchers at Tohoku University split 72 healthy volunteers between the ages of 60 and 80 into two groups. One received 100 milligrams of wasabi extract and the other got a placebo. And after 3 months of daily use, they found those given the wasabi had boosts in memory, both short and long term. The elderly people who ingested wasabi showed an 18% improvement in the ability to learn, store, and retrieve information. And just so you guys know, the stuff you get in the tube at restaurants is not really real wasabi, it's horseradish. So you need the actual root.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was gonna say I got questions like, is it the genuine, like from Japan kind of? So
not that stuff, the root, the actual root.
But if you want to, get the cheap stuff, it's also great to clear your sinuses.
That is true. That is true.
Very painful, I may add. Let's go ahead and send you live outside. This is a look over Honolulu. Some clouds and showers have been moving in today. It started off as a beautiful morning, but now we got some rain. So the perks of living in Hawaii. Don't forget, Investigates TV is on right after This Is Now at 12:30, airing on K5. Thanks so much for watching, everyone.